Hey guys, this is Young Gun, and this is going to be a video about buying my first gun here in the great state of California. So, just to start things off, I guess I should do a little bit of an intro to my background if you're new to the channel. So, essentially, I started school at UCLA about 3 years ago. I'm 21 years old, so I'm fairly young. And I've lived in California all my life. I lived in the Central Valley. And so, essentially, I've always been, I suppose, fascinated with guns, as a lot of people are. Uh, Playing Call of Duty and watching action movies growing up as a kid, I've always had a fascination with firearms. But I never really think that I took it seriously, or at least I considered purchasing a firearm or yet alone using a firearm seriously in my life before. Um, there's been a lot of panic as of late because of the pandemic, and there's been a lot of first time gun owners. And so, that's including me. I mean, I've always wanted to purchase one, but this recent pandemic has kind of been a catalyst for that. So I just decided to go ahead and do it for the first time. And so, yeah, I don't have any previous firearm experience. I shot a rifle once when I was a kid, but I wouldn't really consider that real firearms experience. For the most part, I have none, or had none at least. And in addition to that, nobody in my family really has firearm experience. In the state of California, the gun culture is a little bit different than some other states in the United States, obviously. And so it's not quite as integrated in the culture as it is in other places in the U.S. So I'm going to try to just kind of tell you guys how my experience went in purchasing my first firearm here in California, and maybe it'll help you guys in making the decision. And of course, I'll do a video in the future talking about how to actually go about that process of purchasing your first firearm here in the state of California. So, to start off, I want to say that I contemplated purchasing a firearm at the start of the pandemic with everything that was going on. At least I took it seriously. But once I realized some of the difficulties that I had in actually purchasing one, it kind of dissuaded me. So I kind of didn't want to do it at one point. However, uh, at one point or another, I stepped into a firearms dealer, a store essentially, and I was just kind of looking around, and it was just so cool, looking at all the guns in display behind the glass, and just I don't know, it was just really cool to me. So I was just gazing for like over an hour while I was there at the store, and one of the dealers approached me, and he said, "How can I help you today?" And I don't know what possessed me, but I just said I'd like to purchase my first firearm, and I told him a little bit, about how it's my first time, and I didn't really know the process. But basically, he told me, well, if you have an ID, we can go ahead and do it right now. That's exactly what I did. So I decided to purchase my very first handgun, which is this right here. For safety purposes, I'm going to take out the magazine and pull that a couple times, make sure that it is completely unloaded, and so that you guys know that it's safe to go. So yeah, this is the first firearm that I ever purchased. It's a Springfield XD9, and I have to say, probably one of the coolest things I've ever bought. And the process is not quite as difficult as one might think. And so, essentially, I gave him some basic information, and I had to do what's called the Firearm Safety Certificate exam to get that. I'm going to put this down for a second. And after doing that, essentially, I was able to purchase the firearm. At least start the purchasing process. So I did some paperwork, put my fingerprint, did a form that essentially uh, qualified me, or at least see if I was qualified to actually purchase the firearm. Ask you a series of questions. You know, you're a felon. Do you have any type of mental, uh, you know, difficulties that may prohibit you from purchasing a firearm, things of that nature. Fairly straightforward stuff. But overall, I have to say it wasn't as difficult as I thought it was going to be. In all honesty. So essentially, if you go to any gun store today here in California, if you have your ID on you, and you're able to take and pass your firearm safety certificate, and then granted, also you have cash to purchase, or at least start the purchase, you'll be able to start the purchasing process in actually acquiring a firearm. So it's not quite as difficult as I initially anticipated it was going to be, in all honesty. Um, and so, yeah, I was able to get it. And once I got it, I went to the range for the first time. And for anybody that hasn't had this experience, the first time you shoot a gun, it's a truly special experience. You don't really feel the gravity of what you are holding until you actually fire your first weapon, in my opinion. You know, you see it in movies, and you know it's very ingrained in our culture. We definitely are a big gun culture country here in the U.S. But when you actually fire one for the first time, a firearm that is, it really just changes things at a visceral level. You realize the power that you really possess in just such a small um, physical object, and it really is something to be respected, and it is a great responsibility at the same time. I mean, you're looking at this through the camera, um, and it doesn't really look like much. You see it all the time in movies and in videos, whatever. But when you actually hold it and you put it in the magazine, and you know let that slide release go, and you're hot and loaded, uh, it's just there's a certain degree of responsibility and power that comes with that, and it is something that you have to be ready for when you purchase your first firearm, and that you have to kind of you know prepare for. It is a big responsibility, especially you know if you have children around the house, or you know you have a spouse or whatever. Their level of comfortability with your firearm, you really have to take that into consideration, because it is a big responsibility when you first acquire a firearm. It really is. But overall, I'm very glad I did it. If you're apprehensive about it, I would recommend maybe even trying to shoot a firearm before you purchase it. Obviously, you should. I certainly did. And really, you know, get educated. Hopefully, in the future, I can release more videos pertaining to how to, you know, choose your first gun, how to, you know, go to your first range, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And you know, granted, I'm in kind of in the same boat as many of you. I'm very new. I have up until now, I'm ordering my third weapon. I'm doing a 10-day wait period for that, so I am fairly new. I am not experienced in any way, shape, or form. However, I am, you know, I have been exposed to the newbie process essentially, and I think I may be able to help a lot of you guys that are apprehensive about doing it, because I know there's a lot of you guys out there right now that are thinking about purchasing one, whether it be just to you know get into the shooting aspect of it, or for protective purposes, or for most people it's a combination of both. And you know that's really the beauty of firearms, that they're multifaceted tools. You know, they can be a tool for play, they can be a tool for sport and for recreation, but at the same time, it's a very powerful and effective self-protective mechanism as well. And so it is, and in addition to that, it can be sport, you know, hunting and sport. So it's a very multifaceted tool that I think can offer a lot of joy and practical you know usage for the average person. So I highly recommend getting a little educated on some of the ins and outs of firearms, and you know no pun intended, but pulling that trigger when you finally decide that you want to get your very first one. And definitely, if you do end up purchasing your first firearm, do get training and do the proper steps in order to ensure that you're able to actually use your firearm effectively and to use it in a safe manner that keeps you and those around you safe. So, at any rate, this is my very first video on this channel, so there's definitely going to be a ton of videos coming out soon that I want to just kind of experiment with. I'm going to do a review of my Springfield XD9, which, by the way, spoiler alert, is a phenomenal weapon. And I absolutely love this firearm for many, many reasons, which I will get into in the video to come. But until then, I will also do a video on the actual legality of purchasing your first firearm, the necessary paperwork and requirements as it pertains to specifically here in California. So, yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm a new channel, so make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. I promise you, if I ever become successful, I will obviously, give shout outs, and it'll be ultimately attributed to those people that helped start me up. So, yeah, if you're new, just drop the like button and subscribe just for fun. And I promise you I'll return with better quality content and videos as I progress through my firearms journey. But anyways, you guys have a good and blessed day, and take care. Be safe out there.